Welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right into how to untangle that chaotic yarn ball of our emotions. We'll be using an incredibly simple yet totally game-changing framework from our source material, and yep, we're going to use some adorable kitten metaphors to make it all stick. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by what's going on in your head, well, you're in the right place.
So, picture this. You get a short, super vague text from a good friend. Just a K or fine. Instantly, your mind just spirals, right? Your heart races, and suddenly you feel like a panicked kitten entirely tangled up in a ball of string. We have absolutely all been there. It's that instantaneous, chaotic reaction where your feelings just seem to completely take over.
But today, we're going to use the RULER acronym to fix that. Here's our roadmap. Number 1, the truth about emotions. 2, recognize and understand. 3, label your emotional state. 4, express in healthy ways. And finally, number 5, regulate your response. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the truth about emotions. They are messengers, not dictators.
The core philosophy we really need to adopt here is this. Emotions are real, but they are not you. Think about it. If you treat your emotions like constant threats, they just become incredibly hard to manage. You fight them, and, well, they fight back harder. But if you treat them like the wind passing through, meaningful, powerful, sure, but ultimately temporary, it really helps you stay grounded. They're just giving you vital data about your internal state. They absolutely do not have to dictate your behavior.
Moving right along to Section 2, recognize and understand. This is step 1 to true emotional intelligence.
So here's our mental map for the RULER framework. It lays out 5 sequential stages, taking us from that initial, tangled-up reaction all the way to total emotional mastery. And notice the order here, because it's important. You really can't jump straight to regulating your feelings. You've got to recognize what's actually happening first. So let's look at how to do exactly that.
To recognize where you are, the source text introduces this concept of a mood meter. It basically maps your energy levels against how pleasant you feel. So ask yourself, are you a hissing kitten in the high-energy, highly unpleasant red zone, angry and stressed? Or are you more like a calm, purring kitten in the low-energy, pleasant green zone? Before you can even attempt to manage an emotion, you just have to pinpoint which quadrant you're sitting in.
Once you recognize the zone, you move to understand. And you do that by asking yourself one simple question. What is this emotion trying to tell me? To truly understand it, the text suggests using Socratic prompting. Basically, get curious. Ask yourself what actually triggered the response. Was it really that vague text message from your friend? Or, honestly, are you just exhausted from a super long day and feeling a bit vulnerable?
Which brings us to Section 3, label your emotional state. Name it to tame it.
This is the L in RULER. Look at the difference here between vague and precise feelings. If you constantly just tell yourself you feel upset, that vague word kind of blocks actual insight. But if you dig a little deeper and label it as, say, dismissed, suddenly you know exactly what you're dealing with. Naming your emotions accurately literally shrinks the chaos in your brain down to a manageable size. Using a rich, specific vocabulary bridges that crucial gap between just experiencing a feeling and actually understanding it.
Next up is Section 4, express in healthy ways, communication and connection.
Once we've finally labeled the feeling accurately, the E in RULER guides us to express it outward, and we want to do this in a way that's authentic to us, but also deeply respectful to others. So how do we do that? Well, here's your toolkit. You want to use I feel statements to really take ownership. Say something like, I feel anxious when texts are short, rather than attacking with, you are being rude. You could also have an honest chat with a friend, or even just go for a run to release that pent-up red zone tension. And hey, don't forget to monitor your nonverbal cues too, like your tone and posture. Getting this right actually lowers your blood pressure and builds essential trust.
Now, why does healthy expression matter so much? Well, because bottling up, or stuffing your feelings, literally keeps your nervous system locked in chronic stress mode. It has some seriously deleterious effects on your body. Healthy expression, on the other hand, actively lowers stress, it boosts your immune function, and it allows that panicked inner kitten to finally just relax and connect.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, regulate your response, choosing your path.
So, we finally arrive at R for regulate. This is the absolute core of our framework. Let's look back at our vague text message example to see the full progression. First, the trigger hits.
Then, we recognize we're hissing in the red zone. We label the exact feeling as anxious. And finally, we regulate, maybe through some deep breathing or just reframing the thought. Do you see that shift? We've moved from an arched-back panic to a conscious, regulated response.
A really phenomenal portable tool for this regulation phase is the radar technique. Step 1, reflect. Just pause and observe without judging yourself. Step 2, describe. Name those feelings and thoughts honestly. And step 3, respond. Take action that actually aligns with your true values, not just your temporary anger or fear. Using radar helps create that vital, life-saving space between what you feel and what you actually do.
Now, to be clear, the ultimate goal of regulation is not about becoming some emotionless robot who never gets sad or mad. Not at all. It's about persistently making the conscious effort to shift your state. When you find yourself stuck on the left side of the mood meter, in those blue or red zones, you use your tools to gently but firmly steer yourself back over to the right, back toward the yellow or green zones of joy, acceptance, and calm.
And to actually make that shift, here are some concrete tools you can use. Take a pause and just count to 10. Practice cyclic sighing, which is a deep double inhale followed by a long exhale, or try diaphragmatic breathing. You can consciously reframe those negative thoughts into constructive ones, and practice non-attachment, just stepping back so you aren't swept away by the current. By using these tools, you literally stop your sympathetic nervous system's fight-or-flight response right in its tracks and activate your body's natural calming systems.
So the next time that inner kitten gets all tangled up in the yarn, I want you to remember the ruler framework. Recognize, understand, label, express, and regulate. Will you let your temporary emotions dictate your behavior, or will you create space and actually choose your response? The tools are right there in your hands now. How will you use them the next time you're tested?